Patrick Eads and the staff at Deary Brothers Ford on Mormon Trek. Steve Anderson, Hawkeye Title and Settlement. Mike C. Keys for Cars. GT Car and his crew at Supple's Building and Remodeling. Supple's Flowers, the home of 1-800-800-ROSE. The Midtown Family Restaurant, and Midtown 2 is closed as they're getting new flooring in there, so they're not open. But the Midtown Family Restaurant on Scott, it is open. Head on over there. Harty and Stocker Jewelers, 101 South Dubuque Street, downtown Iowa City. Premier Automotive in North Liberty. The Oxyoke Inn in the Amanas. Streets Maintenance. And Dr. Lance Forbes, Diamond Dental in Cedar Rapids. Here's Tom Suter along with Pat Harty from HawkFanatic.com.
Yes, indeed. We're here. Nice.
You're there.
28 degrees, did we say?
29 now, a wind chill of 15.
Okay, WeatherBug says 29, wind chill of 18.
WeatherBug always one-ups you.
I'm going. Well, WeatherBug is like our Severe Studios forecast. They take the whole area and they average out the temperature.
But in other words, this is not a real warm 29.
No.
It's like I said, when I walked in, the wind blew, and but it beats where we were 3 days ago.
Big time.
Was it slick? When you...
Your parking lot is slick.
Yeah.
You got to be careful. When I came in, I put my foot on the brake, but I was going a little fast, taking that right turn, and then hit the brakes in here. It's like an ice rink out there.
Yeah, I slid a little bit.
That'll loosen up though in the next couple of days. I think
people were doing 180s and going in West Branch this morning.
I mean the drive. The streets like Court and Scott, they're fine.
Yeah, it was fine. It was fine here. It was a little slick on 6, but it was fine here. But
no, your driveway and this parking lot, that's
to the east of us. They got a lot of ice.
Yeah, this really isn't ice. It's more like frozen compacted snow.
Yeah.
And it's rock solid, but it's slippery. Yeah. To clutch on those brakes, but the potholes are full. There's no potholes.
That's something to be said for that.
Got to look at it that way.
Yeah. Now that guy that said he was going to fix the pothole, is he going to claim victory?
Well, he
now?
did. He said he told me that he was going to do it through snow. So. You're going to call Rick in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Get an early preview on baseball. Because we're in an interesting time. Because like I said, maybe it happened. When's the last time where they ranked preseason?
Well, not only that, but it's the only Big Ten team that is.
Yes, so there's a lot to talk about, and baseball is right around the corner. It starts in February, and Iowa. I think a lot of people are saying Iowa could have one of the best. Well, they do have right now on paper one of the best 1-2 pitching combos in the country, and Brody Breck and Marcus Morgan, and that's something to build around. But they've got good relief. Have Jack Whitlock. There's a lot to talk about. It'll be just an early preview on baseball. And then of course we're still waiting for the coordinator. Any rumors? No. I think people are just to the point.
Have had it.
Okay, just name it and let's let's move on. And at this stage, that's really about all you can do. But now Tampa Bay's done. Which means
they are.
David Raya. If there's any truth to that, if there's any validity or any substance or any way you want to describe it, if there's something to that, then maybe something, because the season's over for that rumor.
My guess, Kirk probably won't announce his wide receiver coach. He'll do it at the same time with the offensive coordinator.
Well, that's what I've been saying.
Don't you think?
Yes, that's what I've been saying.
Yeah.
And if it's Raya and Philbin, that would be if it would happen to be those two. They've been together at Iowa, and they were together in Green Bay. Philbin was the core.
Yeah.
There's reasons why that makes sense. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, because to the point now, but that's also might explain why, if it is Philbin, why it's taken so long, because they wanted to do it as a package deal. Not as a package, but just do them together.
Yeah.
And then it'll be interesting. I know we're having sometime this week, there's going to be a press conference with Beth Gatz, an introductory press. I haven't checked my emails yet, and then it'll be interesting to see as far as availability. Because remember, the last time remember when they hired Polasek, Derek Foster, and Copeland, they hired them all. And I think we had two of them together before a basketball game for a press conference, if I remember correctly. But they hired those guys. all right about the same time, and then they put them all together in a press conference. I remember we did it over at Carver Hawkeye Arena. So, but yeah, like I said, if they announce them separately, at this stage, I have no clue. I mean,
No.
It's there's no even interesting rumors. I mean,
there really are.
I'm bored with the Philbin rumor. I was bored. Well, the Chris thing was so funny because it just kept. Well, no, he's not. He's back. He's a candidate again. It's like these people in the media were getting like daily. They were just piggybacking off each other. Nobody knew what was going on. Now, then Chris has finally acknowledged though that he's going to stay at Texas, and so we'll see. I still think it's going to happen this week, don't you?
I hope so. I mean, just if for no other reason to have the staff in place.
But I also had a gut feeling that it might happen on Friday. But then the more I got to thinking about that later on in the day, I'm like, probably not. Especially with the Proctor thing out there. And now, God, that's interesting. Now people are accusing Iowa of tampering because I think just the way the kid talked in the interview with the TV.
Yes.
I mean, he could easily say no. What he meant was he's great friends with Xavier. They've stayed in contact because they're friends, and maybe through secondhand, maybe an Iowa coach told, "Hey, you told Caden, no hard feelings, hang in there, good luck."
Yes.
That's not
tampering.
That's not tampering. I just don't think the Iowa coaches would do that. And maybe I'm naive and foolish, but it also depends on when does it become tampering? When does just becoming? I mean.
Well, and there's the question.
Is tampering, let's say...
Where does it become
let's
tampering?
Say Xavier Wampka tells those coaches, hey, for our week off, Caden and I are getting together. We're going to go, and one of the Iowa coaches said, well, you tell him, hey, no hard feelings, good luck with everything down there. Is that tampering? Because that's what he could have...
I don't think that it is.
That's not burning bridges. And so, yeah, but I knew right when he said that, I'm like, oh, God.
I got Coach Heller.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Okay, well, Coach...
shift to baseball.
First off, congratulations on your preseason ranking of number 20 in the country. And unless I'm reading it wrong, you are the only Big Ten team that is ranked. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to be recognized, as you guys know, but also know that it doesn't mean a whole lot until you start playing games. But it is definitely nice to be recognized like that.
Well, Rick, I figured you were going to – first of all, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. I think our listeners are going to enjoy getting an early preview because I'm starting to just see a lot of stuff on social media, national people excited about your baseball team. And I know what you were saying about it doesn't mean anything now, Kirk and Fran, they all – but isn't there also something – you're proud of that. I mean, this is a moment that you can, as you say, enjoy the journey, whatever. This is an accomplishment in a way because this program hasn't been ranked.
It says something about the national perception of your program, which was not where it is right now.
And what you've accomplished, and what you guys have accomplished.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And we've talked each year, about how things went post-COVID. It felt like we had two regional teams that didn't get to play in the regionals, and then finally were able to get rewarded for a great year last season, and then played well in the regionals, and with the type of arms that we have coming back this year, it was pretty inevitable that a lot of the national people were gonna jump on board and pay attention a little bit. Just when you got a guy like Brody Breck and Marcus Morgan and Kate Overmuller with the stuff they have and the summers they had, that really helped. That really helped with people across the country, kind of recognizing the talent that we have on this team. And it's just it is a good thing. It's really a good thing because it helps. It helps in a number of ways. And number one, people are fired up about baseball.
Sure.
And looking forward to the start of the season, which really isn't too far away. And then, it also helps in recruiting and everything else, to get your name out there in a positive way. That's great.
So your season starts February 17th. I got that right, down in Charleston, South Carolina?
Yeah, I think it's the 16th. Yep. And 16th, I think, is the Friday maybe. I don't know. But anyway, it's not far away, and we're playing a neutral site tournament week one and get started. And then week two, we have week 2 and 3, big challenges. Week 2, we are in a kind of an elite tournament in Jacksonville, Florida, at the AAA Park there. We're going to play Auburn, Virginia, and Wichita State, and then the next week we have a 3-game series at Ole Miss. So it'll be a tough 2-week stretch here, but a really good challenge for us. Out of the chute, and those tournaments and those settings are great because one thing I always try to do is, it's hard to sometimes, but put our guys in a regional type setting at different points during the season, so that when you get there, it's something that they're used to and something that they played in before they get there, and both of those will probably do a good job of that.
Rick, I mean, obviously Marcus and Brody get a lot of attention, and deservedly so, but I remember watching Cade Obermuller pitch maybe in 8th grade the first time I saw him pitch. And I remember thinking back then, this kid is a pitcher. He doesn't just throw. I mean, he knows what he's doing. I know his dad. Talk about his development, because he was really small back then, but I was amazed at how much power he packed. But he's really emerged for you. And I mean, is he ahead of where you thought he would be at this stage, or right where you figured he'd be?
I think Cade's in a good place. I think Cade would tell you, last season didn't go, as well as he wanted, but I do believe, that he made really good strides. I liken last year's season for Cade to Marcus's first. There were some bright spots, there were some blips in the radar, some setbacks, but both of those guys having to fight through that, I think, is a really good thing. In the long game, in the big picture. And I know Cade is going to be in a much better place this year because of the fights that he had to go through last season. And this, and he's a kid that works. He works real hard. He works on all parts of the game, and mental game, all of his training. And I still think there might even be a growth spurt in there because his dad Wes,
he's big.
He didn't really take off growing until I think his junior year. In college he was a real late bloomer with when he got bigger, and Cade's got like 14 feet, and then you're like, I think there might be one more, but even if not, I mean, he throws 90, he's been up to 97. And
that's amazing.
But I mean, he's got a great arm, and it's in an awesome arm slot, for a left-hander, and his slider is, metric-wise, one of the best in the country, and it's just a matter of Cade, putting everything together and just pounding the strike zone and competing and letting his athleticism take over. And I think we're in a real good place. He had a good outing this weekend. His first, our guys threw live to hitters for the first time this weekend, and we'll get 3 more shots at that before we play. And looking for a good year out of Cade for sure.
And with Marcus and Brody, where are you with them now? I mean, they both have been through struggles too. Obviously, you highlighted Marcus,
yep.
But Brody's had some tough moments. He's had some moments with control. Do you think those valleys help these guys? Do you think it makes them appreciate the grind even more because they know how tough it is?
I do. I really do, Pat. And I said this. A lot of people have been calling and just wanting to do pieces on Brody, and the Big Ten Network is going to do a piece on Brody sometime this spring, and they asked me a question, and one of the questions was, what did you learn from Brody? What have you learned from Brody? And I know our staff, not just me, but our entire staff, I believe we learned better patience, if that makes any sense.
Sure does. Yeah.
Because last year, and you guys have followed the program, I mean, we have kind of built the program on, great starting pitching, and then having a back end guy that just, the game was over. You weren't blowing games late. And, but the starters were, especially the Friday, Saturday guys were consistently for 9 years getting you into the 7th, 8th inning. Well, last year, for for the program's success and for Brody and Marcus's success, we needed to put them out there consistently to start. But there were times when, we'd have to go to the bullpen in the second inning or the third inning and trying to stick with them and knowing when to take them out. Obviously, that was a big challenge, and one I think we handled really well. We won 44 games kind of doing that, until they settled in, in mid-April. But I guess the point I'm making is you hope that by sticking with them fighting through that adversity, the confidence that they've gained since then, and because of that, I hope we're kind of rewarded for having that patience. And when I say we, I'm talking the entire program, that Marcus and Brody will go out and just be a lot more consistent and get us deeper into the game. Ironically, this pitching staff may be I think it is unquestionably the deepest pitching staff we've had since I've been here with quality arms. We're going to have, a lot more weapons and a lot more options than we had last season. At times, we knew going into it that we were a little bit short depth-wise on the back end after losing Nedved, and we had some guys step up and do a great job. But that we had when we did have a blip in the road, it was usually that, because we ran out of arms at times. Well, I don't foresee that happening unless something catastrophic happens, and so we can go into those first 4 or 5 series before we start Big Ten play, and we can really have a great plan. I mean, we could bring a closer type in whenever we need it in the first 5 innings. We wouldn't have to go right to the guy that we're hoping is going to go long, and then give him time to get ready, and then still have depth at the back end. So feel really good about our depth, but I also feel like, in fact, I know Brody and Marcus are in completely different places than they were last year, and Brody especially, because having a full year with baseball was exactly what Brody needed for his baseball development. And I think when you guys see him, you're going to go, holy cow! Like it looks like it looks like a different guy. I mean, he has cleaned up his delivery. It's way less efforty. In fact, some guys were here, and scouts come in and watch the guys throw live on the weekends, and Brody threw a pitch, and it was just nice and easy and jumped out of his hand, and the guy said everybody was thinking, oh, that's nice, 94, 95 probably, and it was 101. Wow. and everybody was like, holy
He makes
cow,
it look so easy.
Well, now it is, and before it was kind of an efforty delivery because he hadn't had time to work on it. You think about it.
Yeah.
He basically shows up. He had to do any of his ramp up on his own while he was still playing football, and then we would see him literally January 15th, and we have a month to the first game. So basically, all Brody was doing was competing with what he had, and that's one of the things that falls a little to the wayside on this is the type of competitor that he is. I mean, he is a hard-nosed competitor, sometimes to a fault, and we've tried to take that energy and that kind of get hyped up type energy and channel it more into a productive baseball energy where it's under control and good breathing and focusing on the next pitch. And he's just done an awesome job this fall. He and Coach McGrath, man, I mean, seriously, I mean, we've all seen his slider. One day it might be 93, and then the next year seeing it and it's 86. And I don't think Brody really knew how to throw the slower one or the faster one. Does that make sense? And
sure. Oh yeah.
Sure.
After being with us for a year, now Brody can throw the hard one. He can throw the slow one. Now he has his sweeper slider, which was innate in what he threw. He also throws a downer pitch now that just drops off the table, and he throws a modified split finger for his changeup, and it's like 90-92, and it's just it's like the old split finger fastball from the 80s that we would see with Splittorf and those guys, just drops off the table. So he has a much better arsenal, And then he also, he's right now, and hopefully this continues, he's just pounding the strike zone. So you look at his numbers, and he struck out like 107, I think, in 70 innings, and people could sell out if that, they could cheat. They could say, okay, I'm either going to set on the fastball early in the count. If he gets the 2 strikes, I'm going to sit on the slider because that's what I'm going to get. And now, going into this year, when he can throw multiple pitches for strikes when he wants to, that's going to change the game, and those numbers are going to, I think, just going to, jump off the table.
Rick, aren't there cases where high school kids are so dominant as pitchers that they really don't have to be pitchers? They're just throwers. They know they're going to strike kids out, and they're not that fundamentally sound when they get to college because they were so physically dominant in high school. Does that happen some? And was that maybe some of Brody?
It happens a lot.
Okay.
I mean, that's not uncommon. And Brody, Brody and Marcus both, fell into that, as they all do. It's not just Brody and Marcus, but they just do what they have to do, which a lot of times is just throw it near the strike zone, and they're going to strike kids out. The thing that happens in high school that does 2 things. One, kids chase a lot more in high school.
Sure.
And 2, sometimes the zone is bigger for the umpires.
Yes.
And so they get to college, and now the zone is much tighter, and you're facing guys, experienced hitters who are just going to, if you're not going to throw strikes or pitches that they can hit, they're not going to swing at them. And so they don't get the chase unless they pound the strike zone, and it's a learning curve for every one of them. And Cade went through it. They all go through it. Okay,
so obviously your bullpen is going to be very strong. Offensively, can you kind of, for our listeners, just kind of update us on the route? I know you have a lot of key players back, but, man, you've got a lot of experience throughout the infield, outfield. It's just there's a lot of pieces to like offensively on this team, too.
Yeah, there really are. I mean, starting catcher back, Cade Moss, who is one of the best defensive catchers in the league.
And was an Iron Man last season.
Well, he sure was.
Yeah. For unfortunate reasons, of course.
Yeah, he saved us. And
speaking of that, Rick, not to interrupt, but how's it going to be to have that beyond that? I mean, last season was so frustrating for you with the investing, but to have that thing in the past now to where it's not a fact. At least I assume it's not a factor anymore.
Yeah, right. It's obviously good, but it's obviously always in the back of your head that it could happen, and you know what I'm saying. I mean, you're trying your best. You're trying to bet your best to prevent it from ever happening again. But I would have told you. I was pretty naive. I guess I thought with the education that we provide and the talks and all that guys wouldn't have been doing it. But I guess 18 to 22-year-olds with phones and
it's easy
and all. I mean, I shouldn't have been as naive as I was, because it's funny. I tell people that when I first started coaching in the '80s, late '80s, I mean, they scared you straight right away. It was if you're in a NASCAR pool and we find out you're fired, So to me, it was like it wired in my brain. I stay away, not even think about it, and that's kind of how it was for years and years and years. But anyway, I'm glad it's behind us, and I think our guys obviously learned a lesson and learned a lot, and there's the other side of it that we could talk forever on, like why it happened, and all those things that make it seem like it was targeted, or makes it seem
sure does.
And I'm, it's probably, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, that side of it. But at the end of the day, they all knew they shouldn't be doing it too. So
no, they do, and I get that the punishment, what have you. But like Tom and I've said, the fact that Iowa and Iowa State are the only schools that it's just bizarre. I've seen.
Yeah, I mean,
I've been
given. It's ridiculous.
It's just, it just doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. I mean, and that's where we're all smart enough to know that that just doesn't happen. I mean, it was done for a reason, and for whatever reason, I don't know the answer, but from a political standpoint or for whatever reason, but for someone to do that and give not only our schools of black eye and hurt programs, and I mean what Coach Campbell did at Iowa State. I mean, his team got hammered.
Big time.
Hammered.
Hammered.
And to have the year they did after that, I mean, it speaks to how good those guys are over there.
That's
I think
a good
he does
point.
a great job, and he got hammered. I mean, they left their starting quarterback and running back. I mean, and I, something I'll take to the grave too. I'd like to see what would have happened if we'd had Keaton on that run. If we could have, kept going, and the guys that maybe weren't as big a role players, but I mean, Jacob Henderson was a back-end bullpen guy. That was a big piece of our team, and we were running short in the losers bracket in the regional, and he would have been able to fill a big role there in that game, and maybe we. But I mean, there's all kinds of stuff like that you think about, but I just don't understand, why it was done, and knowing across the country that there wouldn't be a male team from JUCO NAI to D3 to D2 to D1 that would probably have an active roster if they would have went after everybody. But then we can always go back to what I said and mad about that, but also they were educated, and they all knew that they shouldn't be doing it.
Coach, can you update us a little bit on the NIL situation on your team?
And I wanted to ask you about first base too. I mean, what situation?
Well, yeah. Well, let's hit a couple of hitters first, like we talked.
Yeah.
You got Moss. It's always nice to have guys in the middle with experience, and we talked about Cade at catcher, which is a big one, because our staff is not the easiest to catch. You can imagine.
You're right about that.
I mean, seriously. I mean, it is like high level stuff, and when you have high level stuff and you're not always hitting your spots, I mean, it's a tough job for the catcher, and Cade absolutely saved us. And then I think we have if not the best defensive shortstop in the country, one of the handful. And I wouldn't trade him, for anybody in the country. And that's Michael Seegers coming back as a senior.
Rick, it seems like he's been here forever, and I mean that as a compliment, because since he's been here, he's been playing.
Oh yeah, and he's just he makes plays that are really tough look easy, and his offense really improved last year. And his Cade Moss, Michael Seegers, and Ben Wilmus all had really solid years.
Yeah.
And we challenged all three of those guys. I mean, all of their skill sets are solid. What they needed, all three of those guys, was to not go play in the summer and to stay here and eat and lift and try to get as big and strong as they could to try to up their offensive game. And those guys took that challenge, and they did that. And I think you guys are going to see all three of those guys with a little more thump in their bats, which is going to help this team. Knowing that we lost Garigi and Keaton and Honar, that's three big bats. We have to pick the slack up somewhere. And Kyle Hucksdorf is in center field, and we it was 50-50 on whether we thought Huck would be back with the pro draft, because again, he's an elite level center fielder.
Sure is.
Defensively. And offensively, last year was a little up and down for him, but I think he is in a spot where it's going to be more consistent this year. He's done a lot of work on his swing and tightened things up, and and he's going to be definitely out there catching every ball that he can get to. And then you got Sam Peterson, who had a great year.
Sure did.
He's won 2 championships now in summer leagues. He won a championship in the MLB. League that he played in the first year, and then his team won the Cape Championship in the Cape Cod League last year, and Sam was a big part of that, and he's just he's really matured, and it's his 3rd year, and it's his draft year, in which I think he'll be a pretty high draft, and Sam's going to have he's set up to have a great year. And then we've got competition. The competition we have is in right field and second base. Gable Mitchell has played really well this fall, and he had a good summer, and swings coming around, and he gives you a defender similar to Seegers at second base. Mm-hmm. But you've got Andy Nelson back, who missed last year.
That's right.
So Andy's a really good athlete and a super fast runner and has some juice in his bat. And then we got a JUCO transfer from College of San Mateo, Guy's name is Connor Hennings, and Connor is a 6'3", 210-pound guy that can run a 6'4", 60 and has a lot of juice in his bat. And so we'll have those are the guys who are fighting for spots on our club. Where you talked about first base, Pat. We got Blake Guerin, the freshman.
Sure.
Who unfortunately for Blake, he was in a horrible situation last year because our two best hitters, Derigi and Anthony, were first base DH, and Blake plays first base. So it was even hard to get him in the games, But you look at what he did, and it tells us all a lot. For kids that don't play a lot to be ready when they do get to play, especially if it's late in the year, they have to be totally into being a team guy.
Mm-hmm.
They can't be whining and complaining because those guys aren't ready when they do get their chance. But he steps in the regional and hits a home run.
That's right.
Anyway, he's a very good first baseman, and I'm sure first year going through the circuit, with the pitching we see, he's going to have some days, but he's also going to have some great days and provide some power for us. And then the one that everybody forgets about that I think is just a phenomenal player is our third baseman, Raider Tello.
That's what I was just going to ask. Yep.
Man, he is a really good player.
He really is.
Raider has gotten stronger. He has really worked on his path on the pull side. He was a really good oppo gap guy, but he knows to play professionally he's going to have to backspin balls out of the ballpark to the pull side, and I think you're going to see a lot more of that out of him this season. And defensively, he and Siggers are as good as it gets on the left side. So pretty good set. Oh, and there's one guy I forgot, one really key guy that we brought in through the transfer portal. He's a grad transfer, a lot like Derigi. He's not a true transfer. I mean, he's a grad transfer from Utah, and his name is Davis Kopp. And Davis is a catcher, a converted infielder when he went to junior college before he went to Utah. And Davis is going to provide some offense, some runs, driving in runs in the middle of the lineup, and he's also a very solid catcher. A lot like Derigi on the leadership side, and he's a great kid who works hard and has really, he's really won the guys over on the team and accepted him as a good leader on the ball club too. So he's a key cog that we were able to bring in last year to help fill the void. And then your NIL question. I mean, it's how I want to say it. It's a battle every single day, and now that we are under the Swarm name, makes it a lot easier because I was in the process of trying to get some guys in the baseball community to kind of take it upon themselves to do what Brad did, for football and men's and women's basketball, and start a baseball collective, because I don't want to speak for the other sports, but I know in baseball we are faced with the NIL situation just as much as football and basketball.
I'm sure.
And even more so because the SEC now, the Big 12, the ACC, we've talked before, there's only 11.7 scholarships in baseball for right now. It's 32 guys to spread that out. So all of those conferences are pretty much full ride sports in baseball now with their collectives, and not just full ride, but a good percentage of those schools are full ride plus 10,000, plus 20,000, plus 50,000. So the gap has widened immensely in the recruiting battles in the last 2 years. We either had to try to jump in and try our best to do what we can do, or keep falling behind. And thank goodness we're under the umbrella. The one caveat is that like if one of you guys wanted to give me $500 or give a kid $500 for NIL, the Swarm only takes up $1,000 or more, so we've got to we've got the guys have a setup where there's like a baseball swarm for the guys who the guys who are going to give. Guys are giving less. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And they're going to come up with a link and a little website to make that cleaner. But that gives us a chance where those guys that are helping on the baseball side can make it a lot easier to help out. And you know, I don't want to say this. This is so touchy because you're not. The first thing it says with NIL is you're not supposed to use it to entice recruits.
But everyone does.
Yeah, that's what they do. So I guess it's legal for me to say, hey, Pat, a player as good as you got this much last year. Wink, wink. That's legal.
Sure. Yeah.
You know. So it's just a play on words. And you know, our NIL situation to this point has just been anything that the guys that are working on it can get. You know, was used to help keep guys in the program and not be stolen by other programs.
I was going to ask you about that, Rick. No,
tampering.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt, but I wanted to ask you about that when I was thinking about it. The fact that Brody, Marcus, Raider Tello, they're still here, can we interpret that as the NIL is working too here at Iowa? Because I'm sure those guys could have gone to a lot of different places.
For sure, and that's the thing that you don't hear a lot of people talk about with the transfer portal. The transfer portal, okay, you know, I think we can all live with that. It's no one enforcing the tampering. You know, I mean, the majority of the time, when you see a guy, you know, jump from one place to another when he is a really good player, he's not just doing that, you know. And then again, you know, you can tamper, I guess, without getting caught by going through the player's agent or a third party's high school coach or whatever. And you know, so it's not hard for those guys to do that. And you know, to your point, yeah, I'm pretty proud of those guys you mentioned, and you know, the rest of them too. You know, Sam Peterson, yeah. I mean, I had four. Just to give you a feel for this. I had 4 calls from friends who were in the Cape watching. They're watching games. You know, watching our guys play or whatever. And they called me and said, Rick, I'm watching these guys try to steal your guy right now. And I'm like, well, I know. I mean, I knew it was going to happen. So all those conversations happened before the guys left. And, you know, all I can do is what I can do. And hopefully, you know, we can get enough NIL money raised here to keep them here. But to your point, I mean, I'm sure all those guys could have taken more. But because those guys are good kids and they're loyal to the program and they know this is where they want to be with the development side and this team that has a chance to be good this year, they all stayed. But that isn't always going to be the case, and that's why all of us are hopeful that, you know, there can be some form of regulation to prevent a lot of this from happening because, I mean, it's just brutal. I mean, I even had a coach friend of mine, you know, tell me, he called me and he said, hey, I'm at Team USA tryouts, and I'm not here recruiting. He goes, I just got a new job, and they're trying to steal my best pitcher, so I'm here trying to talk to his family and keep him from leaving my school. So I thought I would come up to talk to him, and he goes, I just wanted you to know that the SEC, there's recruiters from the SEC every team at the Team USA tryouts. Well, those are all college players. You know what I mean? I mean, it just makes you sick where it's at. I mean, everybody likes to say it is what it is and all that stuff, but I mean, that's ridiculous.
And the NCAA is aware this is happening, right?
Oh, of course.
Well, you know, you would assume so, but I guess you know, this is off topic, but I guess my hope in trying to be optimistic is that once the conference realignments all shake out and they're kind of set in stone, and I think you're going to see a lot of changes in college athletics in general, that something will be done, because I don't think anybody likes it. I don't think the ones who are able to do a lot of this stuff like it, you know. So I'm hopeful that, you know, there will be something that cleans it up. But right now, you know, people say, yeah, it's the Wild Wild West, right? And I'm like, yeah, in the Wild Wild West, what they tried to steal my player, they shot him, right? I mean, but how do we shoot them? I mean, what do we do? You got to have some policing going on, and there's just not a lot of that. And maybe I'm sure it's the same in football and
basketball. Kirk and Fran say the exact same thing. Yeah. They said there's no
and
structure.
Probably worse.
Yeah.
But with baseball, it's almost like they kind of forget about you sometimes because they're worried about those two more than baseball, and it's just become blatant. It's like the guys that are doing it, they don't even hide it. I mean, what's going to happen to me? I mean, what's the punishment? And the punishments that have been handed out are so minimal that it makes the guys that don't want to do it think, well, God, if I don't, I'm going to get beat, and it compromises their ethics. And I mean, it's just a pretty crappy situation with all of that going on. But I mean, we'll just keep fighting, and just because you buy the best players doesn't make you doesn't give you the best team if you can't do some of the other stuff. And that's and then I guess one positive is that we were blessed with 4 really good arms who kind of kicked back from situations like that where the grass wasn't greener, once they arrived at those places and found out that, being at a recruiting factory where you either get it done or you don't, and there's not a lot of development going on, and you get kicked to the side if you're not one of the ones who stand out, wasn't what they were looking for. So we've been able to benefit, I guess, because of that situation where kids kicked back to us and realized it wasn't all about the money.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's more. It's just unfortunate that first decision for the kid, the money is so much greater. It's hard to say no.
Oh, sure.
I mean, when a kid, and this is kind of how we've been doing it anyway. I mean, we've had to overachieve with that to begin with the supplemental aid, but a kid will pay, $8,000 to $12,000 maybe, to know he's going to the right place. But is he going to pay $50,000 to $60,000 a year? I don't know. We've been getting beat a lot in the summers on that, and then we haven't even talked about this. But then the high school kid situation with NIL and how that all goes with the draft too. And I mean, if you're going to ask a kid. If you're going to ask a kid to come to college and turn down any amount of money, I mean, is he going to take out a $20,000 loan? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? It's
sure.
It's a crazy world, man. It really is.
Well, you'll be moving forward now with Beth Getz as the permanent AD. And just your thoughts on your working relationship with Beth and how you think she's going to help baseball.
Man, I'm really excited. That Beth is going to be our leader. When she was hired, when Gary hired her, all the coaches took that hire pretty seriously, and I can speak for a lot of them where we all, went to all the interviews and we took part in, we asked questions and paid serious attention because all of us felt that, this hire could be our next boss, right? I mean,
sure.
So, and all of us, it's kind of crazy because you can't get 20 some coaches to be unanimous about pretty much anything, but it was unanimous on Beth. With I can't, like I said, I'm not speaking for Kirk but I can speak for a lot of the others that took part, and we were all really impressed with Beth's background and her. She's a great listener, and I mean that. I mean, she truly listens, and I really feel that, if I need something and it's something that's important and it is a no, that she's going to exhaust all efforts trying to make it a yes, if that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense, yeah.
And I think that's someone that all of us want to work for, right? We can all
sure.
take no.
Sure.
But we don't want it to be just no because. You want someone in that position who's going to fight, scratch, claw, everything they can do to help you be successful. And I guess I'll tell you a story that you guys will appreciate. When Beth was interviewing for the deputy job, John Anderson from Minnesota called me. And by the way, this will be John's last year. He's been the head coach at Minnesota since 1982. He started as a player in 1974, and he never left. He was a manager. He was a grad assistant and a full assistant.
50 years he's been there.
Jeez.
Yep, 50 years. And this call was unsolicited. And he said, "Hey, Rick," he goes, I hear a rumor that Beth Getz is interviewing for your deputy job." And I said, "Yeah, that's true." He goes, "Well, if you have any say at all," he goes, "you need to do everything you can to get her on your staff." He said, "She was the interim AD here. She was associate before that." And he said, "In my entire career, she's the best administrator I've ever worked for."
Wow. That's
and
a
he
lot.
said,
Wow.
"Yes." And then the very next day, Rich Maloney, 35-year veteran, who is now the coach at Ball State, where Beth was.
Mm-hmm.
Rich was at Michigan for 10 years before that, and then at Ball State in his first run. But anyway, Rich echoed the same sentiments, and to this point, she's been here almost a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And I would tell you that all those coaches that took part in the interview process, every single one of them would still vote for Beth, and we're just super happy that she got the job. And I think she's gonna, I just think it's a change. I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about Gary, because Gary did a great job.
He hired you.
He hired me, and so I'm not saying it in a way that it was bad.
We understand.
But I just think for the time we're in, and going into a new conference, our new Big Ten, a new world in college athletics, I just think Beth will bring some new ideas, some new thoughts, some new visions, and also continue to give us a strong voice in our league and nationwide. I really believe that, and I think she's the right pick for the right school at the right time, and I'm happy that she got it.
I share that belief, and I've got two last questions for you. I know the season's still about a month away, but do you have a number 3 starter right now, or is that still developing?
Well, it's an interesting battle. It's a really interesting battle because there's probably 4 guys who are capable of doing it. We're trying to figure out right now if what would make us the best at the end of the year if it worked out. Does that make sense?
Sure,
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, so that's where you start, right? It's like, okay. And for me, it's like if we started tomorrow, I would probably run Cade Overmuller out there and just kind of let him go and let him develop and see how it goes, just because his stuff is just so good, you know, and then, played a lot like Marcus and Brody, where, doing that gives Cade stability. It gives him a routine during the week. He knows when he's going to get the ball. He's not in that, not knowing when he's going to come out of the bullpen. But the other options, we got a guy named Reese Buter, who's from Dyke, New Hartford, and he played at Kirkwood, and then he went to Dallas Baptist.
That's right. Okay. I remember him coming back.
But Reese is he's a really good pitcher, and he's really tough, and he pounds the strike zone. And then we have another transfer who's a sophomore who was at Creighton last year, Anthony Watt from Waukee, and his stuff is really good too. I mean, he was up to 95 this past Saturday, and his slider is really hard, like Brody's, like an 87, 88. And he's a guy that both of those guys, could start, any day of the week. Having the ability to back in them, with either Marcus or Cade is also attractive too.
Sure.
Knowing that we have some more 1-inning type closer type guys. Like one thing we're doing, and we moved Zach Volker who started a good chunk of the season for us last year, and also when he wasn't starting was more of a long guy. Zach's velocity and his stuff really plays up when he goes in short stints, and so instead of being 90-91 as the starter and being in that range, I mean, he can go in and blow it out 95 for an inning, and really hard slider for an inning or two. And so we're going to move Zach to the back end. We recruited a guy named Sam Hart out of Indian Hills, who is more of that low arm slot like Dylan Nedved used to be.
Sure.
Experienced closer, that's what he is, was a shortstop growing up and really athletic, he defends well. He's that guy you want in there at the end of the game when teams are bunting and trying to run on you and do all those things. And so Sam is a traditional closer that's going to be more of a short guy. Wow. And then, we've got a few others that you can throw into that mix. But then you got Aaron Savory, who did a nice job for us last year, fighting for that job. And then we got another guy named Gannon Archer, who was at Kirkwood last year, who also is a starter type guy. And then two other guys that we have, two left-handers. Ben DeTay he missed all of last year with his elbow injury at Tommy John, and he has been really, really good all fall, and he was good this weekend. He's going to have a big role somewhere, probably a shorter guy. And we have a Canadian, Elliot Cadeau-Lanoux from Quebec, French Canadian.
Okay.
And Elliot was Team Canada guy, like a big time guy out of Canada. And Robin Lund was instrumental in the recruiting process because Robin's mother's side are French Canadian, and Robin could speak French, and it was it was a match made in heaven with that situation. And well, anyway, Elliot is a very, very polished left-handed pitcher for a freshman, and he throws a plus changeup. I mean, he'll go up to 92, 93, probably set 90, but pounds his own, athletic, can hold runners, good pickoff move. He gives us another really good option out of the bullpen, and then one more that you haven't heard about is a guy named Brant Hogue. Brant's coming off Tommy John and just cleared his 12 months about 3 weeks ago. And he is a big left-hander from Iowa Western, but he went to Oklahoma State, and that's where he blew out. And we were really disappointed that we didn't get him, because we felt like he was our kind of guy, from a makeup standpoint, from a work standpoint, from a want to learn as much as he can, because in our program, I mean, there's so much stuff that we have and do with our pitching, and he's just been great. He's 6'4", 220, and he throws from like a low three-quarter slot. And he was kind of a wild card for us. He would have an extra year if he didn't pitch this year. And we were thinking maybe that would be the smartest thing. But like, he threw this weekend, and it was like, wow. I mean, that was really good. So we've got some really good options.
It sounds like it. It's incredible.
Well, and here's the great thing. We haven't even talked about Jack Whitlock.
That's the one I meant to ask you about, because I saw somebody on Twitter had a video of Jack throwing his slider. It was some baseball tweet, and it just talked about how well he's pitching right now. We had Jack on the radio.
Yeah, it was great.
I mean, Rick, you just named off like 13 guys. I mean, you said this is your deepest staff, right? You've had since you've been here.
For sure.
And what role will Whitlock play?
Well, the play right now is he is the perfect guy, or at least he was. I mean, hopefully it stays this way. But when Brody comes out of the game, it's really kind of an interesting thing on who you go to, because anybody, after they've seen that velo, if you throw another guy that's like 92, 93, it's almost like it's slow to him. You know what I mean? It's almost like you almost get the, I don't really care who it is, we're just going to hit that next guy regardless. Well, Jack gives them a crazier version with different metrics that completely threw him off last year. And it was just a really
he was impressive.
A really good thing for a ball club was to have Jack come in. Now, Jack ended up being, really the guy that got us where we were going. I mean, he has so many games he came in tough situations, and oh my gosh, it was just awesome. And And he's, a winner, tough guy, leader, all those things, and just soft-spoken, humble. You guys talked to him. He's an awesome guy.
He really is, yeah.
That's going to be his role starting out. But, if we wanted to, he could be your Sunday starter in a second if you needed him to. You know what I mean?
He's very versatile, experienced.
But it'd be nice on Friday to know that, let's say Brody gives you 6, Jack comes in and boom, closes it out, and you don't even have to go to any of the closers. And then you got, you're just loaded on Saturday and Sunday. You don't have to wait around for anybody.
No, this, like I said,
it's exciting to hear you
really
talk
is.
about your team. It's amazing.
It really is. And the last question, facilities upgrade. I've had a lot of people ask me, where does that stand right now? I know COVID obviously didn't help, but moving forward, because I know you've talked about you'd like to get a bigger press box. You'd just like to make the viewing experience better, because the field itself is great. The lights, all that stuff is great.
Yeah, it's a tough subject right now, because we felt like we were to where we needed to be, and we were going to go to the board of regents, and then we had some bad news and some things fall through with one of the big donors, which set us back a little bit. We still have a good chunk of money for sure, and but what it's done is it's with talking with Beth and Matt Henderson, my immediate supervisor, and then Damon Simcox, our facilities man. We all sat down, and I just said, listen, we have to do something this summer. This stinks. We can't control it. It happened, but let's not give up. Let's put a new plan together, and let's prioritize what we want, and then let's see how much money we have and how much it will get us. But we have to move, and then that'll give me, if we do it in phases like that, as opposed to trying to do it all at once like we were going to do before the money fell through on with the fundraising. That's the best way to do it, and we can get things rolling. And we've been holding off on new turf. We've needed new turf for a couple of years, but we felt like we thought it was going to happen last year, the whole stadium, and then. So we put it off a year because we wanted to do it at the same time, and so we're going to put the turf in this summer, and we're going to do some stuff, with our dugouts that go with that. And then I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but the guys at Musco Lighting they're getting us the lights from the Field of Dreams game, the Major League lights, which is going to be crazy. The lights we have are solid, but these are the brand new, the stuff that they can do all the shows and the stuff that you see on TV. And,
okay, wow,
I
had not heard that.
They'll be much higher. And again, we've been kind of being patient, waiting. Probably could have had them in sooner, but wanted to do it all in one shot. And then from there, we are right now still in the planning stages, getting some new people involved, like contractor-wise and architect-wise, to see what we can do with the money we have. And then I'm just, myself and the guys at the foundation who help, we're just kind of regrouping after the setback and going out and trying to fill in the void and raise some more money so we can get it all done here in the next couple of years.
Okay. Great. Well, Rick, good luck with that. And, hey, I appreciate you coming on, like I said. Yep. And, hey, it's going to be mid-30s. We're almost getting into baseball weather this week.
Man, so. It was a real downer with the cold weather and the snow, because we had such a nice fall. And as you guys know, it was even warm, up till the end of December.
December was great.
Yeah.
December was heaven.
I think we only had to go inside 2 days for our pitchers to throw through November up until break, and that's unheard of.
Yeah.
And anyway, so point being, we were all optimistic that maybe we'd get outside 6 or 7 times and get some scrimmages in, and then winter hit, and it hit hard.
It sure did.
Now it don't look like we're going to get out at all. So who knows? Maybe we'll get with as much snow as we have. It's going to take some 50s, 60s maybe to get rid of enough snow.
Oh yeah. The snow's here for a while.
Well, and the problem was, as you guys know, it was a wet snow.
Yes,
and then it hit the deep freeze. So what happens is it makes it tough for our grounds guys to move it, because that bottom layer is water, and it meshes with the turf fibers, and then they can't push it it just turns into an ice cube, basically, the whole lower part of the snow. So yeah, that was an extra bonus downer on that, because normally if we get some good weather and it melts a little bit, the guys will get out there and kind of shove it off for us. But it's going to be a challenge this year.
Well, I'm sure they'll handle it, and the good news is you'll be in warm weather here playing to start the season. Rick, I can't remember being more excited about it, and I've had a lot of people say, I mean, with everybody back with it, I know with expectations comes pressure, but I think the guys on your team will embrace this pressure, and I look forward to it. And we really appreciate you coming on. Good luck the rest of the way preseason, and like I said, look forward to being out there this spring covering you.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot for that. And I think you're right, Pat. I mean, that it's probably a talk for a different day, but we have always been the ones that put the chip on the shoulder and went after people.
Exactly.
This is the year, and we've been talking about this since the fall. Let's embrace the fact that they're chasing us, and we're going to get everybody's best shot. And I said, we don't have a better example in the country than our women's basketball team. And look how, and so we've been playing off of that and watching them and seeing how they've handled that situation. And I'm looking forward to seeing if our guys can take it and run with that.
All right, Rick. Appreciate you coming on, and good luck this year.
Best of luck, Coach.
Look forward to it.
All right, take care, guys. See you.
Yep.
That's a perfect answer there at the end, because remember, Lisa at her media day press conference, she's like, hey, we're embracing these expectations. I mean, that's just part of the fun of it. And I get that you don't. I get what Kirk says too. Hey, rankings mean nothing until late November, but you still want to appreciate the journey.
Absolutely.
And the first stage of this journey for Iowa baseball is being ranked preseason. That's a worthy accomplishment.
And it's fantastic. And
they are loaded.
The only Big Ten team ranked, which
I
found so interesting.
I kind of forgot about Ray Tortello in a way, but he's a great third baseman. I mean, they are loaded up and down. I mean, if they
listening to Rick talk about it, I remember how much fun it was to watch that team last year, and how you really got into that team because they played so well together.
Yeah, and for Cade Obermiller to have a chance to be their third starter, that's a nice accomplishment. So, yeah, no, it was just good getting an early glimpse on baseball, and now we can dive back into winter. Should we take a break
Yes.
and then come back and talk about the women's game and the big controversy now with God, Twitter is such a cesspool.
We'll be right back.
From the Harty and Stalker Studios in the heart of the Hawkeye Nation, this is the mighty 1630 KCJJ, Iowa City.
Harty and Stalker Jewelers, making memories, making moments.
Our weather is going to be kind of messy here for the next couple of days, with temperatures kind of hovering right at about that freezing mark. Today will be cloudy. We may catch a little light freezing drizzle at times. Our high 33 this afternoon. Tonight, cloudy with freezing rain, maybe some sleet late tonight. Our low down to 31. Tomorrow, some sleet, rain, and freezing rain with a high of 35. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable on the mighty 1630 KCJJ. Currently, it's 28.
KCJJ weather brought to you by Plum Supply.
Plum Supply, kitchens and baths. Your home never looks so beautiful.
1-800-800-ROSE. 1-800-800-ROSE. Your FTD florist is the only number you need to know to send flowers anywhere in the country or Canada from anywhere in the country. 1-800-800-ROSE. It's so easy. Just remember one number. 1-800-800-ROSE. Your FTD florist. 1-800-800-ROSE. Remember.
For a gift that your loved one will treasure for a lifetime, find it at our family-owned jewelry store in Iowa City, Harty and Stalker Jewelers.
We can show you diamond engagement rings, colored stones, fashion jewelry, and watches.
Our jewelers are on site, so we can design jewelry for that special person in your life.
We are Harty and Stalker, serving Iowa City and the surrounding area for 3 generations.
Harty and Stalker Jewelers, downtown Iowa City, and HartyandStalkerJewelers.com. Ask for Willa, Terry, Tim, or Kate. One of us is always there.
Don't wait for an emergency to get a backup for your car keys. Unlike the olden days, car keys have gotten extremely complex. Mike's eKeys for Cars can generate the most technically advanced automotive keys that are on the market today. For spares and lost keys, Mike's eKeys for Cars can produce most conventional transponder, high security, and remote head keys. Mike's eKeys for Cars will keep you on the road. Call 319-330-9185 and schedule an appointment today. Don't wait until it's too late. Call 319-330-9185 today.
Are you tired of living in a home that doesn't quite meet your needs? Then it's time to call the experts at Streets Maintenance. Their team of skilled professionals specializes in renovations and remodeling, transforming your home into the space you've always dreamed of. From kitchen bath remodels to complete home renovations, no job is too big or too small. Streets Maintenance will work with you every step of the way to ensure your vision becomes a reality. So don't wait any longer. Call Streets Maintenance to schedule your consultation at 400-4483. Let's start building your dream home today.
There's a problem here in eastern Iowa. There's not enough Hawkeye fans. I mean, really, shouldn't everybody be a Hawkeye fan? Well, maybe not. But you should be a fan of my team at Hawkeye Title and Settlement. Hi, I'm Steve Anderson, and my team of experts at Hawkeye Title and Settlement know what they're doing. Call us at 351-8600. Hawkeye Title and Settlement, the team you love, the people you trust.
Don't let just anyone take care of your smile. At Diamond Dental, you can expect compassion, expertise, and a personalized care plan to protect your teeth for life. With more than 30 years of combined experience, Dr. Forbes and his staff are prepared to tackle even your toughest dental problems, leaving your smile healthy and sparkling. Diamond Dental offers a full range of general and cosmetic dentistry, as well as dental treatment options for snoring and sleep apnea. It's never too early to start thinking about what's best for your smile. Schedule an appointment today by calling 319-390-3703 or visiting the office at 5815 Consul Street Northeast, Suite D1 in Cedar Rapids. You can also visit DiamondDentalPC.com for more information. Dr. Forbes is a proud sponsor of the Hawkeye Wrestling Club and the Inner Circle. Let the Diamond Dental team provide superior care for your entire family.
Car won't go into gear? Call Premier. Premier Automotive in North Liberty offers full-service mechanical auto repair, in addition to being Eastern Iowa's most trusted name in auto body repair. Use Premier for all your auto repair needs: brakes, oil changes, air conditioning, diagnostics, transmissions, or preventative maintenance. Whether you hit a deer or your car won't go into gear, see Premier Automotive in North Liberty. When you go to a family restaurant, you want three things. One, a wide selection of breakfast, lunch, and dinner items. Two, you want those selections to be affordable and delicious. And three, you want to be treated like family. You get all three at the Midtown Family Restaurant. Breakfast items available anytime the doors are open. Legendary tenderloins, onion rings, and hot roast beef sandwiches. And special ribeye and shrimp nights. Daily specials at each location. And no matter if you're coming in solo or with a group of 20, you get the same special family treatment. The Midtown Family Restaurants at Court and Scott Streets and at the Walmart Plaza on Highway 1 West. Follow them on Facebook or at MidtownFamily.com. The family's waiting for you. GT Carr, owner of Supple's Building and Remodeling, has been offering unmatched service and quality for over 25 years. The trained professionals at Supple's Building and Remodeling will install and guarantee the products used in any job, no matter how big or small. They also stand behind their work and offer no-nonsense, exceptional customer service from design to completion and beyond. Whether it's a simple window replacement or a major house addition, you'll have the confidence that Supple's Building and Remodeling is committed to quality. Visit Supples.net or call them today at 319-337-2246.
Thierry Brothers Ford Winter Clearance Event. Warm up to these hot deals. Get a new 2023 Ford F-150 XLT Crew Cab, up to $6,000 off MSRP, plus 1.9% financing for 72 months. Get a new 2023 Ford Bronco Sport, $1,500 rebate, plus 1.9% financing for 66 months. 75 pre-owned cars and trucks, clearance price, plus top dollar for your trade. Hurry in before these hot deals are gone. Or shop online at ThierryFord.com. Thierry Brothers Ford in Iowa City, here for you.
Don't miss your chance to experience Big Ten basketball in Iowa City. Tony Perkins leads the Hawks onto the big stage of Carver Hawkeye Arena. Coach McCaffrey brings back 3 starters and welcomes an array of instant impact playmakers. Plan your trip to Carver. Visit HawkeyeSports.com or call 1-800-IA-HAWKS. On Iowa, and go Hawks.
Your favorite place to eat in the Amana Colonies can be your favorite place to work. The Ox Yoke Inn's 84-year reputation for quality extends beyond the food and service. The working environment, training, wages, and benefits are the best of any independently owned and operated restaurant in the area. Come and apply and have lunch, dinner, or Sunday brunch on us. Is it worth the short drive from Cedar Rapids or Iowa City? I guarantee it. We're busy and we're searching for the best, and that means you. Apply today in person or online at oxyokeinn.com for those positions of cooks, pie and pastry bakers, waiters, waitresses, and bartenders. Apply today in person or online at oxyokeinn.com.
The Ox Yoke Inn.
We bleed black and gold. We're Hawkeyes, the mighty 1630 KCJJ.
18 after 10 o'clock, HawkFanatic.com.
What about it? We're back.
Yeah,
what about it?
Thanks to Rick Hiller.
Yeah.
Thanks to Sam Bassler for helping to arrange that
It's
interview.
fun talking baseball with 2 feet of snow outside, isn't it?
Hello.
But it's really not that far away.
No, it isn't.
I was just going to say, looking at the weather, it's kind of hard to think about baseball.
It is, but boy, Rick's team is loaded this year.
I'm excited about it.
I am too.
I've even already ordered my tickets.
There you go. So you're obviously thinking about baseball.
How much are the season's tickets this year?
I think mine were $75.
See, that's really cheap.
Yeah, I mean, considering
That's
they have
one Cubs game.
They have, what, 25, 30 home games almost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
20. I think it's 27. I counted.
That's a great deal.
I don't think it's one Cubs game.
Well,
I think you're a little
they're going to have
low.
good. There's going to be a lot of hype surrounding this team. I mean,
Well,
especially if it goes down south and plays well initially. There's going to be some good crowds out there. Because barring injuries, this has a chance to be a really
Isn't the first
good
home
team.
game supposed to be February 27th?
Let's see. Yes, it is actually.
I'll have to take my sack and crawl into it.
Northern Illinois, February 27th.
Yeah.
Could be interesting.
Anyway, what happened? What happened to our poor gals yesterday?
I think that, number one, Ohio State is really good.
Cody McMahon's really good.
We had no answer for Cody McMahon at all. She was dominant. And our supporting cast didn't
support.
Didn't do
Didn't
enough.
support,
Well, they're 0-3 when Caitlin hits 45, and 7-4 when she
7
scores
and 4.
40 or more. They're not at their best, and she says that all the time. I mean, but she had to score. I mean, she's the only one who scored in overtime.
That's true. But it's a shame to be 12 ahead and then lose by 8.
Well, yeah,
Yes.
I mean, they kind of fell apart down.
Well,
the
that
stretch.
gal came in when nobody knew who the hell she was.
But-
Hits 2 3.
But that's what she does, though.
Yeah.
And Iowa let her get wide open.
Yes,
that
they
was
did.
not good defense. They didn't. The scouting report identifies her as a three-point shooter, and she was wide open on both of those.
Well, and the other thing is, anytime you give up 100 points, you're not going to win
Yes.
the game.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
Yeah,
too.
that's true.
I mean, it was a high-scoring game even without overtime.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was not a lot of defense.
Do you think we need a center?
Well, it
You
would
got
help.
you got 3. I mean, there's 2 full-fledged centers on the team, and then Hannah Stokey plays center. I mean,
Well, we've got one coming in. Unfortunately, that's next year.
yeah, but
Yeah,
you've got 2 centers. Sharon Goodman and Addie O'Grady are both centers. They're post
they
players.
are.
That's what
But
they are.
pushed. They do get pushed around.
Yeah, I mean, Tom and I were talking. I think Addie sometimes is a little passive.
She is, and she's.
Well, Addie did some good things yesterday.
Oh, she had 5 points.
Absolutely,
she had
did.
5 points within she made a traditional 3-point play and came back. She helped them.
And she had a great spin move the other day against Wisconsin. I think that was.
But Hannah Stokey,
fantastic.
it was. Hannah Stokey took a step back with free throw shooting yesterday.
Yep.
And there's just times where I wish she was better at converting those close shots. Lots of times she won't convert, but she'll at least draw the foul, but then miss the free throws. I wish she'd be able to turn those into 3-point plays.
It would be
more
nice.
And these basketball players with those big eyelashes, boy, I tell you.
Yeah. Do you have eyelashes like that, Karen?
No, you have to go in and get those put in and forget
Yes,
it.
I hadn't noticed that.
That makes them sexy, and I get past the sexy
Hey.
stage.
Settle down, Card.
Not at my age, you're not.
Anyway, I thought that there were times that they hurried their shots, and it's like Martin, or a couple of times she hurried her shots, where usually she's pretty good with some of those threes.
Yeah, but Kate and Gabby's biggest problem for both, they're just inconsistent offensively.
Yeah,
I mean,
And they were both not at their top of their game yesterday.
But they were defensively. I mean, Gabby's always plays good defense, but they just are inconsistent offensively.
But we led in all the quarters except the one we should have led in.
Yeah.
Well, give credit to Ohio State.
You bet. Yep.
Well, no, aren't they the last team we play in our regular season? And that's at home, and we can clobber them.
Or is at Indiana our last?
Well, I thought
Ohio State at Iowa.
There's a bunch of those that they're not sure what date we're going to play them on.
Yeah, Ohio State at Iowa, March 3rd. Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
And I was thinking that the girls, what about at the end? Shouldn't they have some protection to get off the floor?
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, who was it? Someone was saying at one of the games, with like 0.1 second left, the officials let the visiting team start heading to the locker room because they knew a court storm. I don't know if that was a previous Iowa game or whatever, but yeah, something obviously has. I've been saying this forever. These court stormings are dangerous.
Well,
and when I looked at the thing, that person who came in there had plenty of room. They didn't have to go run into her.
But neither one did this
They
intentionally.
weren't
It
paying
was an
attention.
accident. It was just an accident. Nobody deserves
This
blame
is not the
other
first
than the
time
setup.
that this has happened to players.
Yeah, no. I mean, hell, it happened. Remember when Randy Peterson? He broke a leg, I think.
Yeah.
But no, neither one was at
yeah.
fault in it. This was just an accident that unfortunately happened.
Yeah,
I didn't remember one place where the place, as soon as this happened, they had a rope, and they just pulled the rope all along there and let the players go out by the rope, and the other people had to stay behind the rope.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do. But the funny thing, it wasn't funny, but one of the Ohio State girls came running up she looked like she was going to check on Kate, and one of the security people pushed her away.
Yeah, she wanted to help her.
She looked like she wanted to help her, ask if she was okay.
And
it sounds like she got the wind knocked out of her.
Yeah.
And now the people accusing her of flopping and
Jesus.
just the
Well,
cesspool that is
she
social
got
media.
the wind knocked out of her.
Yeah, that's what she said.
She said that.
Yeah, well, some people don't believe her.
That was a pretty big person that came running on there.
Yeah, but the person didn't do it intentionally.
No,
they weren't paying any attention. They just ran on there.
Yeah, and neither one were looking at each other until it was too late. Yeah.
Anybody that runs into those things isn't usually paying attention to anything anyway.
Well, that's true, too.
Yeah.
That's why I don't go down there. I'm not going to get killed.
Well, it's a good call on your part.
Anyway, you guys have a good day.
All right.
And I want to get to the grocery store before we have any ice.
Yes, do it.
All right.
We got ice coming?
When's ice coming? It's
Maybe.
later this afternoon, isn't it?
No, it's tonight.
If you got Captain down playing it, it's
Yeah.
nothing. If there's
Tonight.
ice coming,
Okay.
you'd be doing Vanilla Ice, that song Ice
Okey-doke.
Baby, wouldn't you?
Thank you, Karen.
All right, we'll see you guys. Bye.
What's that song, Ice Baby?
Ice baby.
Before I moved up to, this is when I was out of college, but I don't know what I was doing at this time, but we lived in an apartment complex, Old English Village out in West Des Moines, and the people that lived above us for about a stretch, they played that, because this would have been late 80s,
Yeah.
that song, da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
They played it every day, nonstop, until we finally complained, because they did it really loud, too, at 3 in the morning, until we finally complained to management, and then they stopped. That's the only song they ever played. And there were times where I seriously wanted to kill myself. And then I'd crank. I was worried about cranking my stuff because then you don't want to bug other people. But yeah, I remember living in an apartment. I didn't live in apartments I did it for like 2 years out of my life when I was in my mid to late 20s. But that song was miserable.
Yes, I do love the bass line, though. from under pressure, it's the same.
Yeah, but let's don't compare. Let's don't connect under pressure to ice.
Vanilla Ice, Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, similar career arcs.
He's a hell of a. I mean, he builds stuff.
Who?
Vanilla Ice. No, he's
like porches?
No, houses. Stuff. Yeah.
Good for him. Well, he had to do something because he wasn't going to last as a rapper. I mean, he probably made some. Look up his net value. Do you think he's worth $5 million, Vanilla Ice?
I doubt it.
It might be.
Well, maybe, but he might be because of what he's doing as far as building and real estate.
He's a big trumper too, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
He's probably given some of his money. Did you see? I read something where like $33 million of his money has gone to his defense.
$12 million.
Is it 12? I thought it was 33.
No,
Vanilla Ice.
He's worth $12 million.
Yeah.
Is it all because?
Well, we don't know.
Well, that song did make him a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
As bad as it was really popular. What was the name of the song? Ice Ice Baby? Is it?
Ice Ice Baby.
All right, Vanilla Ice or Tone Loc?
Tone Loc, Alex from Stroh's.
What was his big song, Tone?
He dated Madonna.
Vanilla Ice dated Madonna?
Yeah.
His big song is Wild Thing.
Wild Thing, that's
He has $30 million or $3 million worth of liquid assets, owns 15 properties, 8 cars.
Good for him.
And a boat.
Well, he's hardly a failure. Now his music was...
His real estate portfolio is huge. Yeah, he develops homes.
So it sounds like most of that millions was more for what he did after his.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he made some money on that. Did that song ever climb to number one? It had to have. It was.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
It was on.
Although I'm generally wrong on these.
I am too. Did you play that song, Captain, when it was out?
No, I was on.
Where were you then?
KFMH.
Okay.
We didn't play that crap.
All right.
So
Ice Baby.
All right, so looking at Caitlin's chase for Kelsey Plum here, she's got 176 points to go.
They're saying the Michigan game on February.
If she's on pace.
Number 1.
Okay.
She's on pace that her current rate that will be the Michigan game, 6 games from
6 games from now.
Yep.
Yeah. She may even do it sooner. Well,
he released 6 albums, 2 compilations, a live album, a remix album, and 25 singles.
Who did? Vanilla Ice?
Yeah.
Ugh.
And all we've heard of is
the one.
Song.
Over and over and over.
And over.
But yeah, you hope that she doesn't do it sooner because they don't need her scoring 40 points. They just
no.
I mean, the fact that she was the only one that scored in overtime yesterday was not good.
No.
I mean,
and she could have taken a couple more shots in overtime, and I kind of wish she had.
I kind of wish she would have, too. You know what they needed yesterday, obviously? Monica Cesano.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Monica would have scored some down the stretch.
I mean, sure think so.
Yes, because right now, I mean, you want to think that Stokey's their second option, and she is in a lot of ways, but she's still not a consistent, steady, reliable, especially when you struggle from the free throw line.
And she misses too many bunnies.
She does bunnies. Yes, she does miss a lot of bunnies, whereas Cesano was automatic, and by the end was a good free throw shooter, too.
She was.
So, yeah, no, yesterday was a game where they kind of had their lack of a second reliable scorer kind of exploited yesterday. And Ohio State's a good team. A lot of people are complaining about the officiating. I mean, I just thought there was too much officiating, but then...
I think that's a good way to put it.
But then there were some where you're not supposed to armbar. I mean, and I thought it worked both ways, too. I felt bad.
It worked both ways.
That Celeste Taylor?
Yeah.
I thought she had a couple calls that seemed a little touchy.
I thought so, too.
You know, and but sometimes I just think officials over-officiate, and it just kind of keeps the game from having a flow. But we're also talking about a game where one team scored 100 points, too. So. Yeah. But it was a fun game to watch.
192 points scored.
I just kept having to remind myself, God, here's the Iowa women on a Sunday at 11 o'clock on NBC. It was just, I mean, didn't Sunrise Semester used to be on then?
No, it was on at sunrise. Why would it be on at 11 o'clock?
Well, they'd play it again. They'd do the Notre Dame highlights after that, and then they'd go back to Sunrise Semester. You were a fan of that show, didn't you?
I thought No, I was. What was I? 5? I think I was.
I'm
5.
old enough to remember when I turned the TV on Sunday mornings. At times, Sunrise Semester was the only thing on, and I think that's why I'd watch it. If I woke up at like 5:30 and couldn't sleep, and I remember Sunrise. What was it?
I didn't watch. Never
it was
watched
classes. They'd give you. They'd teach you stuff. I didn't want to watch that.
I didn't either, but I remember it being on in
We
the
had
background.
Bullwinkle on.
Well, I never. Yeah, I was a cartoon guy.
But I don't think
didn't watch any
cartoons
of
were on
those.
at like 5:30 or 6 in the morning, were they?
Yeah,
I think
Quad
Sunrise
Cities.
Semester was like one of the first things that would come on.
I was asleep.
It was on during the week, but I don't remember it on the weekends.
I thought it was on Sundays.
No,
I thought I remember.
I don't remember. It wasn't in the Quad Cities.
Because I wouldn't have done. Yeah, then
Sunrise Semester. Jesus, what the hell is wrong with me? Why would you even remember? God,
it's part of my childhood.
I am going to be 75, and I haven't thought of that in 70.
So the last time I brought it up about 2 years ago.
Yeah. Hello.
I'm no basketball expert but my observation yesterday was towards the end of the regulation, they were relying way too much on the three-point shot.
Yeah, and missing them.
Yeah.
I mean, Caitlin missed a few
She
three-point
did.
shots. But no, you're right. I mean, that's the problem with the three-point shot. It's your best friend and your worst enemy at times.
Well, it's also the problem with if you don't have a dominant center that you can rely on.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Someone in the chat room. I remember Sunrise Semester and the lunch menus.
I just remember Sunrise Semester and the Riverbank were two things I remember. As
Tales of the Riverbank.
Tales of the Riverbank.
Tales of the Riverbank.
Two of the first things I ever remember being on TV as a little tiny kid. Watching.
Did you watch
And
Captain
then-
Kangaroo?
Not really, no.
Yeah.
I watched I do remember watching the Riverbank. Be like, man, look at these hamsters. Like, weren't they hamsters?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of them was named Hammy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were hamsters, and they had crisis going on in their life. They had obstacles they had to overcome, just like all of us.
Well, I remember when the two hamsters ran into each other.
Another show I remember as a little kid was Dark Shadows with Barnabas Collins.
Yeah.
I remember that.
That was on right after school, wasn't it?
Was it Night Stalker? Wasn't
Yeah,
there a
Night
show?
Stalker.
It was
Gavin
I remember.
DeGraw. Yeah, Gavin DeGraw was the Night Stalker.
That's another one I remember as a little kid being on. But I mean, the people now don't. I mean, guys, we're all old enough to remember TV turned off at 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, when I bring that up to young people, are like, really? You had no TV from 2 to 6.
The national anthem and
That was it.
Channel. I was watching the Chiefs, and for the last couple of days now, Channel 2's been so screwed up on CBS feeds. You got a line.
I noticed that too. On the left side of mine
Yeah.
was like a lightning bar.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you get
I was
squiggles.
worried that my TV was going out, and then I'd
No.
go to another channel. No, you're right. I did notice that yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell.
How about
they're doing.
Travis Kelce's brother?
Jesus.
Good Lord.
What's wrong?
He looked like he was wearing sweatpants from the 70s.
Well, it took the attention off of Taylor Swift.
I'm just wondering, yeah, it's just funny. They showed him one time, and he's up there shirtless and all drunk, and she's just clapping. I mean, she's clapping around, having a good time with, what could be
I
her-
watched the first half, and it's, oh, boy, Chiefs aren't going to get it done. And, of course, they did.
They did. And they did. They're not showing her as much as they were.
Well, yeah.
I mean, they're cutting back on it. I
Did twice in the first half.
Yeah, but they were before. Anytime he would make they'd always pan. They're not doing it quite as much, but I will say it does look like she's having fun. I mean, she's supporting her boyfriend.
Yeah, and they're single and they can do this.
Yeah,
crap.
it's okay.
I don't know why.
I just thought it was funny. She's up there. There's Taylor Swift, and they're drunken Jason Kelce. Sure, that could be her future brother-in-law, And I just thought it was kind of, and one of the greatest centers in the history of football. He was a great player, and I just found it funny. There's Taylor Swift up there with this family and it's just funny.
And it's fun that 3 of the 4 remaining teams I like.
Yeah,
and
no, I
I
enjoyed the games yesterday. I watched them. When I did a little shoveling, I finally shoveled my deck off. God, was that? I hadn't shoveled the steps of my deck since the original snow. There was literally 3 and 4 feet of drifts on my steps. That took about a half an hour, and it was miserable. But now I got my deck completely shoveled, so hopefully that will help. By the time this Friday comes, I'm hoping that everything on that deck is dry. Because we've got 36, 37. I saw 38.
It should be. So, you've seen El King in in concert?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. So they had a tribute to Dolly Parton at the Grand Ole Opry. And Elle King gets up there.
I don't even know who Elle King is.
She's Rob Schneider's daughter, and she's
Rob Schneider. Is he that?
Yeah,
making copy.
Copies.
Oh, he's an idiot.
Well,
He's just a.
Yeah. So she gets up on, and you don't like her. You've heard her songs and said, "God,
X's
I don't
and
like her."
O's.
I'm sure I don't like her.
Yeah,
her
So
songs. I don't know.
Yeah. So she gets up on stage of the Grand Ole Opry for this tribute to Dolly Parton, and goes, "I'm effing drunk." Only uses.
Well, that's kind of funny.
You know, it starts. I don't know the effing lyrics to these effing songs.
Seriously?
Yes.
That's kind of funny.
Well, not to the Grand Ole
Well,
Opry.
sure not.
No,
but
they would not be amused.
I'm not the Grand Ole Opry, though.
No.
I'm just some.
They were.
Did they take her off the stage?
No.
Did she sing?
Kind of.
What, she sing Jolene?
I don't know what she's saying, but she was they couldn't control her. It was uncontrollable, and they tried to get her off the stage once, and then they.
So, what kind of music is she? Is she a pop singer? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pop, but she's
Like-
gone country. I mean, she's being excited. She did "I'm Drunk and I Don't Want to Go Home" with Miranda Lambert.
But her dad is.
And I can't
insufferable.
really tell the difference between their voices. They're very similar.
Very similar, except one is just completely drunk.
Okay. Elle King or bread?
Elle King. Drunk.
Wow.
Elle King.
Drunken Elle
drunk.
King? What is she like, the Bob Bruce of pop?
Bob Bruce never used obscenities.
I will say that I've liked the hit songs that she's had, but in concert she did not do
Yeah.
not. I mean, she didn't have any kind of presentation.
Well, she did. She did this weekend.
Wow.
At the Grand Ole Opry.
Remember the making copies thing?
Yeah.
It was funny once or twice.
Once.
But he's just turned into a complete wingnut.
Yes.
I mean, you know, everything's a conspiracy. You know, unvaxxed and, you know, chips in our minds and all that.
We got chips in our minds.
Just so many weirdos out there.
Well, they got chips, all right. They're called our phones.
Cell phones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they know exactly what we're doing, what we're saying, when we're doing it.
If they care.
If they
which
care.
They don't.
I mean, I got nothing to hide. I mean, they can. I mean, there's nothing in my life that the government should be
He's
concerned.
watching NCIS again.
I know he's watching. Hey, that weirdo's watching Andy
This
Griffith
guy's
again.
boring.
And he's got music from the '60s on in the background. I think we can leave this guy alone.
Yeah, really well.
I got nothing to hide.
I mean, you turn on your TV now, and the reason the TVs are so cheap, a lot of them, is because they feed the information back. Hey, you're watching this or you're watching that. I mean, it's.
Yeah, I saw a 46-inch on sale the other day for like $230.
Isn't that just incredible?
Listen, I had a TV when we were in Rochester. I never heard of the damn thing before, and it was just an odd name like TV. It was TV Star, and it had the best freaking picture. It was like my Sony.
There's getting to be so many, yeah.
But I never, so I Googled it because I never heard of it. And these people are going, well, I got this set, looked at reviews. It's okay, but it doesn't have this or that or this or that. And they paid $75 for a 32-inch flat screen.
That's just incredible.
That looks great.
That is because you can go. You know how easy it is to go to the grocery store and spend $50.
Oh,
yeah.
Instantly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm one of these guys who kind of buys my meals day by day. I mean, I go to the store. I mean, the other day I went to the store, and I didn't even have beer as part of this. And it was $42, and I looked down. I really didn't have that much.
I know. It's incredible.
It really is. But then the other option, it's just food right now is so expensive.
I mean, you can go to Aldi's and get, off-brands and, cereal for 300 people. I don't want to do that.
No. Especially like me, you live alone, and you buy for one person, you either end up throwing away a lot. I'm not a big freezer of food and whatever, because there's not a lot of stuff for just one person, I mean, I throw bread away a lot because I don't freeze bread, and if I buy a loaf of bread, there's no way I'm going to eat a loaf of bread before part of it will start getting moldy. I mean, I just don't do it.
You always have to bring a bread, don't you?
Yep, because I found a diary. Bread or Seals and Crofts?
Seals and Crofts.
Seals and Crofts.
Okay, all right. Just got to always test you.
Well, you didn't give me a third choice.
Death.
Death.
Slow, painful death.
Well, that's bread.
Okay. All right, back to the Hawks. The Iowa women's wrestling team dominated their duels. One of the teams they wrestled against was named Life.
Life.
But they didn't
have Nike.
You didn't have much life. Obviously, they trounced them.
The Iowa-Purdue game, it was sure fun to see a big crowd to watch the man.
Yeah, Dallas said the crowd was rocking.
It was great.
Yeah.
The students make such a huge...
Yeah, no, they had everything. You know, they just got beat by a better team.
Yeah,
they could have used Patrick. I think they could have.
Yes, they could have.
He would have helped. I mean, he would have at least, I think, given them another option scoring wise, because he's not the greatest rebounder right now, especially offensively. They just didn't have an answer for Edey.
No, none whatsoever.
They just did not have an answer for him, and Purdue played well. I mean, I'll give Iowa credit. They cut it down to 8 numerous times to where I think at least 4 times they had a 3-point shot that would have cut it to 5, and they didn't make it.
And that place would have exploded.
And then it would have been interesting to see how Purdue handled it, but they never got closer than 8 down the stretch. But they were down by 19. They could have unraveled. Now, the key is they've got Maryland Wednesday, and that's a game.
That's 6 o'clock.
That's a game they got to win.
Yes,
got to win
absolutely.
that game. Got to win that game because you don't want to lose another home game. And of course, 3 and 5, 4 and 4, big difference. I mean, the farther you drop below 500, of course, the less margin for error. Because I'm looking at 10 and 10 is probably. I don't know if they're going to get in. At
I don't know if
9-11.
that's enough.
9 and 11. I'm not quite sure if even 10 and 10 this year would get them in because they didn't have a great non-conference. I will say though that their win over Seton Hall's turned out to be. Seton Hall lost the other day, but Seton Hall is playing much better than I thought they would.
No, they played well, and they lost in triple overtime, was it?
Yes. I was just watching it. To Creighton.
Creighton.
Yeah, and that's why I missed. I mean, Dallas was at the arena covering the game, but by the time we got to the Iowa game on TV, it was more than midway through the first half.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Purdue just came in and did what they had to do to win that game.
And they played pretty well, I thought.
But no, the arena looked like it was rocking.
It was, and it was really fun.
Did you get a tenderloin?
No.
A beer?
Uh-huh.
Longer lines for beer or tenderloins?
There weren't long lines at the Carver Cones either.
Really? I wonder why. Did they open up more points of purchase?
They might have, but they just weren't very
There's
long.
been times where I go there and the arena's half empty and there's 80 deep at the cone line.
I know, but they weren't very long.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that they couldn't pull that one out. It was a missed opportunity. They had a chance but also part of the draw to that game too was Purdue.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, some fans.
There were a fair amount of Purdue fans.
That was the second-ranked team in the country that was here, and that led to. But no, the arena did do its part. So, yeah, when it's full, it can rock.
Yeah, and it was fun. And I'm hoping Maryland a 6 p.m. start. You know, a game that we could win, or maybe should win
here.
I'm a hope. Yes, and
they should win that here. Now Maryland, though, they beat Illinois.
Yeah, I know. A lot of parity this year.
Yeah, now they're speaking of Illinois. I'm curious about you guys' thoughts. That Terrence Shannon, you know, he's got that waiver. He's back, and he received a standing ovation. And some people are upset under the circumstances. But you know, I don't know what to think on that. He's back. I mean, he's still charged with.
Yes.
And what do you think of the fans giving him? Do you think that's a bad look?
Yes, I do.
What do you think, Captain? I mean, he's charged with rape.
Yeah, it's a bad look.
I mean, there's some people that are just saying they think that was not a good look. But I mean, fans are fans.
I don't think.
But I think there's a way. Somehow he got a court order that's allowing him to, while the case is still pending.
Yeah, I don't know.
And they're good. I'm guessing they're the second best team in the conference behind Purdue, especially if they get him back.
Well, I think you're right.
I think
well,
Purdue,
Wisconsin's pretty good.
I still think Illinois in the long run will be better than Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin's third. I think Purdue, Wisconsin, Illinois, those three. Michigan State, no, I'm not. They barely beat Minnesota, and Minnesota was without its starting point guard. It was a struggle for me. They're 3-4 now. I'm not ready to put Michigan State in with Illinois, Wisconsin, and Purdue.
No.
Michigan State, to me, is in a group with Maryland, Iowa, Minnesota, before it's all said and done. I think
Michigan, maybe?
Michigan, no, not right now. I'm not ready. Ohio State, I'll put those. And Penn State, yeah, they're 3-4 now, I think, in conference play. I mean, there's a lot of teams that I think are going to be finish anywhere from 8 to 11 wins in conference play this year. And I think Iowa's going to be in that group.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I hope it's closer to 11 wins than 8.
Yeah, because like I said, I just don't think 10-10. If they go 10-10, I think they're going to have to win a couple games in the Big Ten tournament to get in. But we'll see. I mean, a lot can change by then. They just need to take care of business Wednesday. They don't want to fall 2 games and lose that would be a third Big Ten home loss.
Yeah. And then Saturday they're at Michigan. Is this winnable?
Very winnable, but would not be surprised at all if they lost.
No.
At all.
Well, they already beat us.
They already beat, yeah. And that Doug McDaniel, I believe, he plays in the home games, but he's under academic suspension. But the suspension means he doesn't play in the road games, but he stays,
so he can't travel.
He can't travel, but he can play in the home, which is odd.
I think that's the strangest thing I've ever heard.
It is one of the strangest things I've heard. And how about Ohio State's They spent $13 million in the transfer portal. Ohio State did during this past month.
Jesus.
They've got the Caleb Downs coming from Alabama. They got that 5-star quarterback from California who decommitted from Alabama and is now committed to Ohio State. They got a tight end from, I believe, Akron, who's a really good tight end.
$13 million.
But yeah, the story I read or saw the headline, I didn't click on it, but it said that they're estimating the cost for their NIL additions is for what they spent on NIL since is $13 million. Think about that.
It's wrong.
Yeah, it's not collegiate sports anymore.
Oh no, it's big business.
Yeah,
and now it's not just the coaches and the adults that have all the leverage. The kids have some leverage now, and it's NIL and transfer portal.
They do.
I mean, and I wrote the transfer portal. To me, the transfer portal, and I'm not saying it just because he's coming back to Iowa, but to me, the Caden Proctor situation is perfect for what the transfer portal was designed for.
Yeah,
he's not going to a better situation.
No.
You could argue he's going to a worse situation football-wise. I mean, Iowa's not Alabama.
No,
he's homesick. He wants to come home. He's not getting millions of NIL dollars.
No.
He's getting NIL, don't get me wrong. It's not like he's not getting anything. But he's homesick. His coach is retiring, and he should have the right to leave and play right away. And that's the transfer portal.
Yeah.
And that's what I wrote. And then, of course, well, yeah, but all the tampering. And I'm, whatever. It'll be interesting to see if anyone tries to see if Alabama I still think he just said it didn't come out right. And I still think it depends on what your definition of tampering is. Because like that scenario I said earlier, if Xavier Wampa told his coach, hey, I'm going to spend the weekend with Caden, we got this offer or whatever, and they're like, hey, tell him we said hi, no hard feelings, good luck. That, to me, is not tampering.
No.
But that could have been what Caden was referring to, too, though, something like that. But, Nebraska fans, Iowa State fans. I don't think Alabama fans care enough. I mean, they've just moved on. But I've seen a lot of Nebraska fans on my timeline say, this is tampering. The NCAA needs to hit Iowa hard with infractions. I'm not ready to go there.
No.
And they'd call us just homers or whatever. Homers. 3 homers.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, tampering, get real, Alabama.
Well, I think it's more. I've seen more Nebraska. Yeah, well, that's true too. Yeah, but I've seen more Nebraska fans bitching about it than anyone else.
And guess what? It's none of their business.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, all right, guys. That's what pot. How does that go? The pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah, when it doesn't work for you, then it becomes a problem. But when you can benefit from, that's just doing business, just being aggressive.
Yeah. All right. Have a good one.
Yep. But no, he's homesick.
Obviously,
he wants to come home, and the other thing is Nick Saban retired. If Nick Saban retired, he'd still be there. But, when you lose your head coach, and he's the greatest head coach in the history of college football, that's pretty impactful, especially if you're thousands of miles, long way from, I don't know, how far is it from Tuscaloosa to, you think it's probably not 1,000 miles. I bet it's probably 600-700. Tuscaloosa to Iowa City.
750.
So, yeah, but he's a considerable way from home. He's maybe homesick, and then with Saban retiring, this is, to me, what the transfer portal's for.
And,
734 miles.
Wow, you were almost right.
11 hours and 25
That's
minutes.
a long drive.
Yes, it is.
Now his parents, I mean, he actually lives on the east side of Des Moines since he went to Southeast Polk. He can get to Iowa City in an hour and 15, hour and a half at the most. Yeah.
And and I tickled to death he's back. Make no mistake about that. But if you think about it, he got to play for one of the best coaches in the history of college football.
Started every game,
and got a chance to play in the playoffs.
And made multiple freshman All-America teams.
And made good money while he did. You can't really fault the guy.
No, and Nick Saban is retired. I mean, he's done.
Yes.
He's not the coach anymore. I think, I think that's what, if he was battling with homesickness, which I've been told, Saban was the reason to stay there. But when Saban left, there was nothing there to keep him. I know the Alabama mystique, but that only goes so far. It's not like he's coming back to play for the Sisters of the Poor. I mean, Iowa has won 10 games in 2 of the last 3 seasons. They've won the West in 2 of the last 3 seasons. Their offense is horrendous. Don't get me wrong.
And he will help them.
And he will help. I mean, he's not going to make it worse.
No, and I saw someone started a thread on one of the message boards that, God, it's too bad Proctor didn't play for us. Imagine how many games we would have won last year. You would have won 10.
Yeah, he would not have made any. And the losses that they had, the 31-0, the 20s.
He'd make a 31-point difference against Penn State.
That whole crap is so freaking ridiculous.
Some of the comments on social media, you just wonder if people are doing it seriously.
It's just so ridiculous. Yeah.
I mean,
imagine how many wins we would have had. We would have had 10 wins.
I mean, the one game, 3 of their 4 losses were just not even close. They got outscored 92-0. The Minnesota game was a disaster. That's the one.
Yes, it was.
That one, but he wasn't going to. He wouldn't have been blocking on that punt return or whatever. I mean, now maybe they would have. You just can't. And we've seen Iowa have great individual pieces on the offensive line and the offensive line.
And still not be good.
I mean, 2019, they had a decent team, but they had 3 NFL starters on that offensive line, and they couldn't run the ball very well.
No.
And they had Alaric Jackson, Tristan Wirfs, and Tyler Linderbaum. And they were an average, at best, offensive line, even below average stat-wise. So, but yeah, but it's here now. But I still think I'm going to predict the coordinator sometime this week. That's really not going out on a limb, and I haven't even checked. We'll see before we sign off. God, it's already almost 11.
It's funny to see. Remember when he was being recruited to see Caden Proctor next to Tristan Wirfs, and made Wirfs look small.
Yeah, the kid is huge.
Proctor's just massive.
Yeah, I mean he is.
6'7" or 6'8", depending on who you.
My nephew just sent me something. Bears finalizing deal to hire Shane Waldron as new offensive coordinator. Never heard of him, but I don't follow it near as closely as I used to. What have you? I'm just trying to see if there's been. And you said there's no message board. I mean, the coordinator stuff now. It's taking so long to where it's almost like I think some people have forgotten about it.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's just no information. And, I mean, people aren't even, the only thing you see is maybe we can get this guy, and then people say, oh, why would he come here, And it's just, there's no information.
No.
Absolutely zero.
Yeah, no, it's been very dry. Nothing. And that's Kirk. He's doing this behind and that's his prerogative.
You bet.
I mean, I'll tell you what.
He does know us information like that. We'd love to have it.
Oh, sure, without question. But he's got to do it his way. I'm trying to see. Today is January 22nd, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we have Fran McCaffrey today at 2 p.m. Press conference because, they got the Maryland game in 2 days. So basketball going full steam now.
And we got 2 guys in a thin front court with ankle issues now with Lodgy got hurt.
Yeah, Lodgy and Patrick.
Yep, Patrick's still battling.
I don't know how bad Lodgy's is.
It didn't look good. I don't know. I haven't heard any, MRI results.
Owen Freeman, he was dealing with the loss of his grandmother who died the day before. Plus, he was in foul trouble the whole game.
The whole game.
That's what Edie does.
Yeah.
He just makes it hard for, especially, Owen's 6'10" and was giving up 6 inches. Think about that. Think about being 6'10" and being half a foot shorter than the guy
he looks small.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think, couldn't Edie play another year? Didn't he come in? He came in prior to. I think he does have another year.
I think you're right.
Because he's either in Caitlin's class or a year ahead of her. I can't remember.
Because last year was the first year.
Caitlin's class is the last class that can use
Yes.
COVID. And Edie was there at least with her a year before. I think he could play another year.
I think you're right.
And my guess is if he doesn't help his NBA stock, because he's basically doing the same thing he did last year, but obviously that didn't impress the NBA much,
No.
or he would be gone. Can you imagine him coming back for a fifth year? Because Purdue would pay him a ton of money.
No. Pay him more than he'd make in the pros, maybe.
Probably, yeah. I mean, so
that's why he came back this
It'll
year.
be well. He also came back because the NBA. I think he's been told he's not ready,
No.
and he may never be ready. If he's not ready at this stage, you wonder when he ever will be ready, which shows you how hard it is to play in the NBA.
He's 7 feet 4
And
inches.
averages 25 and 10. I mean,
Yeah.
he averages. I mean, he's unstoppable. But there's something about his game that doesn't translate to the NBA. I think part of it's foot speed on defense.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those centers would just go right by him.
He's got some of the same issues that Luka does.
But to me, I don't know why him and Luka, both of those guys, with 12 NBA, how they couldn't at least be the 11th or 12th man on the NBA roster.
I know.
It just doesn't make any
It
sense.
seems strange to me.
But what else?
Well, that's it.
We covered everything?
I think you hit on
Thanks again to Rick Keller for coming on, giving us an early baseball preview.
Coming up next is Sunrise Semester.
Hosted by, who's hosted it?
Molly Suter.
Molly?
I don't really,
It's Sunrise Semester with Molly
should
Suter.
start off the show tomorrow, 5 o'clock. It's Sunrise Semester.
You should. Remember the theme song to it?
Well, you can go to, I'm sure it's on the internet. You can go to just type in Sunrise Semester music or something. I'm sure you know.
Is there a host of it?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, if there is, you should try to. I think it'd be funny if you reached out to the host. Nope, not interested. He cow you.
I think he's dead now.
Yeah, because he was old back then, wasn't he?
Yeah. Let's see.
They could have replaced him with someone else.
Let me.
No luck yet?
Hold on a second. Semester TV show.
We're finishing strong, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, one other thing. Jan Jensen said that 5 players
I did see food
had
poisoning?
food poisoning or the flu.
Maybe that's why Sharon Goodman didn't play more.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Dr. James P. Carse is an associate professor in the Department of the History and Literature of Religion of Washington Square and University College of Arts and Science of New York University. For your assignment, please continue reading The Myth of Sisyphus by Albert Camus.
Jesus, God, help me.
It was the only thing on in the morning.
Please write to Sunrise Semester, New York University, New York, New York, 10003.
Wow.
Okay.
I don't even know what to say. Well, with that. All right.
Your mind is so.
All right.
Molly Suter is next. HawkFanatic.com. Check it out. It's free.
Download the new KCJJ app.